In today's video, we're going to talk about my experience working 70+ hours a week in my 20s. The good, the bad, the ugly, and if this way of living is right for you. To start out, I'm going to make a promise to you that we will not be using the following 3 words: hustle, grind, or struggle. Is that fair? Because I have not been in the hospital fighting for my life. I've not been overseas defending my country. I've merely been sitting at a computer and flexing my biceps on the internet. So let's get back to the start. For anyone new here, my name is Travis. I've been working in the corporate world for about 10 years in addition to running this YouTube channel based off fitness, lifestyle, nutrition, things like that. So if that's something that interests you, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And if you enjoy these styles of videos, make sure to go ahead and like the video. So starting out with my career, after I got out of grad school, I went into the accounting department. And even though I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life, I figured if I could learn debits, credits, and the financial status of a business, I could probably figure things out enough to at least get myself going in the right direction. And even though when I started out as a staff accountant, I didn't really have that much responsibility. I actually started out as an intern before going to become a staff accountant, which is why on nights and weekends, I was able to dedicate so much time to this YouTube channel. So even if I was only working 45 to 50 hours a week as an accountant when I started out, that meant I had a whole lot of time to record videos, edit videos, and in hindsight, it's actually kind of crazy for me to look back and see, because I was putting out 4 videos a week and I had no editor at the time. I had no one making my thumbnails. I was doing everything. It's kind of all a big blur. And when I sit back and I look at, hey, this is what it took for me to get this channel up and running, I'm glad that I did it, and I don't know that I could do it at this stage of my life. But it was really an all day, every day type of thing. So if I wasn't at my corporate career, I was doing this YouTube thing. And this is no exaggeration, for the first 2 years, I really did not leave my house. I didn't see anyone, I didn't go out on dates, I didn't hang out with my friends. It was non-stop. And as I started to progress into my career, I took on more and more responsibilities. So soon after I started as a staff accountant, I got promoted to a senior accountant, which just means I took the next level up. And thankfully that meant more responsibility, better pay, and things like that. But with that came more hours at work. So maybe I was spending, 50 to 60 hours a week at work, which meant I had a little bit less time to spend on YouTube, but I was still filling in the gaps every single day with this YouTube channel. So I would come home, start working on videos, and then weekends, every Saturday and Sunday, the whole days were spent on recording, editing, and really doing things for YouTube. Now you might be thinking that that sounds like a miserable existence. And to that I would say, you're probably right. It's probably not right for most people, that level of balance, which we'll talk about throughout this video. But I really wanted to focus in here on the sacrifices, the opportunity costs, what I had to give up, because I feel like that's not focused on enough. And a lot of times you'll see the end result, but you don't pay enough mind to what actually went into that. And is that even worth it? So as I alluded to, I really gave up all my nights and weekends. I can count on 2 hands the amount of times I was able to go out and go to a party or go out and experience different things with my friends. Even something as simple as like going to a football game on a Saturday. I couldn't sacrifice the 4 or 5 hours to get what I was looking for. I had my eyes so set on the prize, and I was unwilling to waver from that. Whether that be my professional goals, this YouTube, trying to achieve this financial freedom, all of these things that I was looking for in the golden years. In your 20s, you're supposed to be going out and making those memories, and I don't have a lot of that. And when I look back in my 20s, I think about sitting at a computer and trying to make my dreams come to reality. And for some people, that's the right thing to do, and for others, that would be absolutely miserable and they would get no benefit out of it. And it wasn't just me who was sacrificing. I wasn't a great son, I wasn't a great friend. I can think of, weddings that I've missed and birthdays that I wasn't there for, and special events, holidays. Sometimes I didn't even go home on the holidays. I specifically remember thinking of Christmas as just an entire day to edit videos, so I'd sit there on my computer even if I was there. And that's the reality of it. So yes, I was able to accomplish a lot. But then again, you're never gonna get that time back. And I completely understand that this is extreme. I have an obsessive personality, there's no doubt about that. And I say 70 hours a week just because it's a nice round number, but I wasn't sitting there counting the hours I was working. I just know for 7 days a week, from the moment I woke up into the moment I went to bed, I was trying to do some kind of work with little to no leisure, besides if you want to consider working out leisure activity. But besides that, it was all just down to how much work can I get done. So by the time I got into my late 20s, I had built a reputation for being a hard worker, willing to do whatever it took to get the job done, both within YouTube and also within my corporate career. And that really paid dividends for me. So we focus a lot on the trade-offs, like what did we have to give up? But I think a lot of times, especially when you work this salary career where people get in this mindset that they're not gonna work extra hours because they don't get paid anymore for it, right? It's not in their job description. And I'm a firm believer that that is a very bad way to look at things. And I'll get into why as we get into my later 20s, when I decided that I didn't want to be an accountant anymore. I didn't have the desire to do it. I wanted to try something else, but I didn't want to switch companies. So what I was actually able to do, as you all know that have been watching this channel for a while, was I was able to shift my career from accounting to sales, which is pretty unheard of, right? I don't know too many accountants that have gone on to be sales reps and have been successful at it, at least. And I was able to do that because I was able to build this reputation throughout the company, and that I was willing to do whatever it took. I was a hard worker, and overall, I would figure it out, right? I saw success in whatever it is that I was doing in every position along the way. So it really worked out, because when I went in to become, a sales rep in my late 20s is when I moved into the sales organization. It's really when you start to see a lot of, financial gains that are available to you within those types of roles. And if I could give everyone watching this video a little bit of advice, I'm no life coach, but just something I have learned over the last few years, it's two things are very, very important for whatever profession or industry you are in. One, having advocates, people that will go to bat for you, that will vouch for you, that have seen the actions that you have taken and they truly believe in you. I know for me, that was one of the things that has allowed me to really find what I'm looking for out of life. I've needed help. I haven't done this alone, and people have taken chances on me, and they've seen what I've done previously, and they were willing to make a bet on me, and that's paid off for me, and hopefully it's also paid off for them as well. The other item is make sure you're building a track record of success. People will definitely start to notice when everything you get involved with starts to flourish. And what that will allow you to do is gain more responsibility, and people will be willing to trust you with new challenges and new opportunities, because you have built that reputation for going into any situation and just figuring it out. And that will start to open a lot of doors for you. Anyway, back to the story. If you want more life advice, just hit the link in the description. Life coaching will start at $3,432 per month for all my vast experience as a 30-year-old in this world. But now that I have gone through my 20s, as we've discussed, I've been through a few career changes with this YouTube thing. It really took a backseat as soon as I started entering the sales world, because I thought that I would actually work less hours. Sales reps have this reputation of, not working on Fridays, not really working on Mondays, and being done by noon every day. And maybe that's true for some people, but as soon as I started working in sales, I was working more than ever. And so now my days really look like working from maybe like 7 to 7. And so YouTube during the nights, non-existent. And then on the weekends, well, things are a little bit different now, because through all of that madness, somehow, some way, I was able to meet Megan through work. Of course, I don't think I would have ever found anyone anywhere else. And now that I'm married, my work life looks a little different. And to be frank with you all, I look at myself nowadays like I'm a little bit lazy, because I don't really work on Friday nights. Some Saturdays I don't work at all. I do work almost all day Sunday every day or every week. But I look at my life now and I'm like, I don't work that much at all. But I bet if I asked Megan, she would say something a little bit different. Let's go ask her. Let's put her on the spot. Did you know you were part of this video? What do you think about my working schedule right now? Do you think I work a lot or not a lot?
Definitely work a lot.
Too much?
Depends on the week.
Okay.
I feel like you're getting better with time.
But you didn't know me
Right.
when I was in my 20s and living alone, and you didn't know that, Travis.
Right.
That little man, he's like, don't be working all the time, Dad. So even though I feel like I don't work that much anymore relative to what I used to, there's still a lot of sacrifices that are involved with this, especially with my wife, Megan. You know, she has to beg me to go to the pool for an hour on a Saturday. And there's a lot of things that, you know, we're not able to do as a couple because I'm trying to keep up with this work schedule, ultimately to provide ourselves with the best possible life in the future. So she pays the price for it. I obviously sacrifice a lot for it as well. And things will continue to change. Now that I'm a married man, I can't work as much as I used to, but that's an easy trade-off for me, for us to be able to go on date nights and to hang out with Alfie and to do all of these things. And actually, as my sales director that was talking about this on a call the other day, where we're talking about different seasons of your life. So there might be a time in your life where you kind of just have to suck it up, and that's okay. When you're in your 20s and you're younger and you don't have as much responsibility, I feel like that's a perfect time to set up your life for where you want it to go. And to wrap all of this up, one of the biggest criticisms I will say that I've gotten is that you're gonna burn out. And I think about this a lot. And I find it interesting that people are so worried about this term burnout, but a lot of people have never actually gotten there, right? It's this thought in their head and they're very fearful of it, which I don't understand why. Burnout is temporary. It's not something that you're gonna, you know, get to that point and be crippled your entire life. It's not cancer, you know? So if you do burn out, then you can make adjustments. So I find that people should be less worried about burnout. I'm much more concerned about not getting what I want out of life than I am about burnout. Now I've gotten there, I'm probably there right now, and I've experienced it a lot in the last 6 months actually, when I'll wake up on almost every Friday, it seems, I feel sick because I'm just drained from the week. I would say that is burnout. And that's okay. You can make adjustments, you can change things up, or if you get to burnout, you can just suck it up for a little bit of time to get you over that hump. In my opinion, now that I'm 30 years old and I feel like I've gotten to a stage in my life that I'm really happy with. I'm married, we have this beautiful house, we have financial freedom, we can go out and do all of the things that maybe I had to give up in my 20s to get to this point. But I'm able to provide for my family whatever they need, and that's a really good feeling, and that's personally what I wanted out of life. That doesn't mean that that's the right thing to do, and that doesn't mean that you should do that, because as I alluded to earlier, a lot of people would just be miserable if they had to live that way. I'm hardwired a lot differently than most people, so maybe for you, 55 hours a week is really your max, and don't ever feel ashamed of that or that you're not worthy, because for you maybe to recharge, you need to go out with your friends and experience the world and travel, or else it would really be counterproductive. I'm an extreme introvert, so maybe for those things that I don't need, but that doesn't mean that it's not right for you. So my overall recommendation and the overall message of this video would be to really do some soul searching and find out what makes you happy. It ultimately becomes a very personal decision. So whether that means working 40 hours a week and hanging out with your friends every night and weekend because that's what brings you the most amount of happiness, or maybe it's sacrificing for 3 or 4 years straight to set yourself up for long-term financial success, and those are the things that you're willing to give up. But ultimately, I just wanted to share my experience with you now that I'm kind of coming into a new phase of life. I've only been married for 2 months, so once we start to have kids, you know, things will start to change again, and I'll continue sharing my experiences with you. But I would love to know everyone's thoughts on this subject in the comments down below. Let me know if you have a similar experience, or maybe you spent your entire 20s having fun, and through that you met an amazing connection that made you filthy rich, and I was doing things wrong the whole time, and that could be right as well. But just let me know your thoughts. I really appreciate you all taking the time out of your day to watch. I mean, you could have been doing anything in the entire world, and you chose to spend a few minutes with me. That is pretty awesome. Please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I look forward to talking to y'all next time.